my dear people of Southern Cameroons, my dear people of Ambazonia, accept revolutionary greetings from me, John Ba Akuro, and today is the third day, or the second day, yes, the second day of the third month, March 2, 2021. I'm coming here, my people of the Southern Cameroons, for us to have a very important communication. And this communication will simply be to remind us about some very important tenets of our collective quest for freedom. I know there are actually some people who are involved with this liberation movement, but who still do not, grasp a few things, who are still confused about the things that are happening around them, and who do not take time to interpret the actions of various stakeholders that have to do with our quest for freedom. At least for one thing, I'm happy today more than ever before, we all know that the majority of the people of the Southern Cameroons want total freedom, absolute freedom, not counterfeit. At least we have gone from census to census, from survey to survey, and even by several other means, because in 2017 and on the 22nd of September, our people did what was called a physical head count. They came out in the streets of the Southern Cameroons, young and old, the lame and the sick, everyone in their millions, to draw the attention of the world to the effect that we are tired of living a Slavic life, that we are tired of living as second-rate citizens, that we are tired of this unholy marriage that we were forced into with La République du Cameroun. And so, this brings me therefore to conclude that we all know and all understand that at least 90% of the people of the Southern Cameroons want total freedom. Now, there are these other elements that need to be known. But before I really get into this, let me take a little, a digression to talk about the actions of some people who call themselves the elected representatives of the people of the Southern Cameroons. And I'm saying this just to once more remind those who have forgotten that these people who move around and call themselves our members of parliament are impostors. Because even the records of the election governing body of La République du Cameroun demonstrate that less than 5% of our people, according to them, participated in that election. But our own clear statistics demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that the less than 3% of those who participated in this election were La République civil servants, the colonial civil servants who are working on our territory, the military that was deployed to everywhere on the territory, and a few CPD and warlords who were gathered in armored cars here and there to go and cast votes. That aside, our people stayed home completely. So these gentlemen who try to equate themselves to members of the U.S. Congress, who are duly elected by their people through a rigorous electoral system, are simply out of their minds. These people are out of their minds. And what is even more, they are reacting to a letter that was not addressed to them. Because for all I know, the members of the lower house and those of the U.S. Senate addressed a correspondence to their president, to President Joe Biden. That's the legislative branch, writing to the executive branch to call the attention of the executive branch to some issues of concern. And these issues are operating within their constituencies in the United States, not in Cameroon. And so, I'm surprised that some people get up, and one Mr. Osi Joshua Osi Nambangi says it is parliamentary diplomacy, that they were reacting because that parliament. No. They should have written to the president of their own country. I don't remember the last time, if it ever even happened, that members of that house, that rubber stamp, they call Parliament in Cameroon, ever wrote to their president to express concern over anything, or ever sought and obtained audience to meet with the president of their country to discuss anything. So this impostor suddenly come from nowhere to claim that the Cameroon being talked about does not exist. And unfortunately for them, that is happening just days before Human Rights Watch published one of the most scathing reports of the atrocities that are being visited on the people of the southern Cameroons by the army of that country. Oh, yes. I laugh here because this is how God does his things. It's just funny. And so, when I listen to Mr. O.C. Joshua speak, I wonder, is this the same person who paraded himself yesterday as being of the opposition and wanting the good of the people of that country that he claims to be representing? And in that letter, they claim that that Cameroon they are talking about does not exist. Yet, I want us to listen to a lawyer. He's a barrister at law, operating in that same country. He's not falling from space. And this is what Barrister Mungwa has to say.
It is so shameful. It beats my imagination. I'm aghast. It's so flabbergasting that Joshua Osei found himself in that type of a pit. These are congressmen that addressed a letter to their president. They did not address the letter to the president of Cameroon. Neither did they address that letter to the parliament of Cameroon. Here we are today, Joshua Osei is running his mouth, giving lessons to Americans to comply to international law. We have cases here where Joshua Osei has been to the military tribunal to watch Ayuk Tabe and the rest that were smuggled out of Nigeria. Joshua Osei has never asked the state of Cameroon to comply to international norms. Read his write-up. It's full of insults, full of rhetorics. I think the best thing he would have done would have been to stay quiet and apologize to Cameroonians. The deportation of 60 Americans would have changed what? And those that they had deported, Joshua Osei, has he ever raised a question about the whereabouts of those people? Has even talked about parliamentary diplomacy. What about that? What do we call parliamentary diplomacy? That you are responding to something that does not concern you. American congressmen wrote to their president and they described a situation that we are living. And it is true. And Americans are partners to Cameroon. And you use words. They are not even polite. You call them misguided people. Joshua Osei has been dancing in parliament, and this issue that has been hitting the northwest and the southwest region, he has been unable to place it on parliamentary debate.
You definitely joined me there to laugh. This is a barrister at law operating in the same country that Osei Joshua Nambangi is operating from. Different perspectives. This is amazing. That you find people who feel that the only way they can survive is if they continue to push as many people as possible to their early graves. Because by doing what they are doing, Joshua Osei is not representing the people. Fortunately enough, like I said, the people of the southern Cameroons have no elected representative anywhere. And so that really doesn't bother us. Because if at all these people still had a conscience, this is actually what Mr. Osei would have been talking about. Yes, the image you have before you here is a picture of the technical department, laboratories and everything of the Banso Baptist Hospital, reduced to ashes by the agents of La République du Cameroun, by the army. Reduced to ashes. That was yesterday, the first day of March 2021. This is a horrific scene. But lo and behold, those so-called members of parliament, you will not hear any of them talk about this. Because for getting to 5 years that this situation has been going on, nobody in that parliament has stood up, apart from what we heard from our own Honorable Wiba Joseph. and a few other courageous ones who said one or two things, but before long, had to backtrack. This issue has never been discussed in the parliament. The only time the parliamentarians felt like they needed to write down something was to gainsay what this US legislators said being a result of information they have from networks they have on the ground in the southern Cameroons, from international rights NGOs like Human Rights Watch, like Amnesty International, and a lot of other local organizations that are working very hard to unearth everything that's happening on the ground. This is the next picture. Take a look at it. What does international humanitarian law say about this kind of places? Hospital environments are totally protected. They're supposed to be inviolate. This is not the first that La République has brought down. It's not the second, not even the third. This gives some of us, some people, that feeling that Mr. Paul Biya and his people, protected by France, are untouchable. That they are authorized to do anything they want on the people of the southern Cameroons. As long as they protect French interests, nobody will be touched. This is exactly what this comes across like. Just take a look at this video. It will give all of us again a clue of exactly in what state the people found themselves in when this was operating. Really embarrassing, my people. Just take a look. Our people found themselves helpless as a group of individuals in uniform, paid by the taxpayers of La République du Cameroun, and even money they extort from our resources. And claiming that they come there to, protect them. This is what they meted out onto the people. And you could find the people in total confusion, in total bewilderment, in total embarrassment. They couldn't understand what is happening. They can't even understand what is happening to them. Yet, you will not hear anyone calling themselves, those impostors calling themselves elected representatives or whatsoever. None of them, until the moment I was doing this recording, has raised a little finger to condemn that act. Not even one of them. And before long, you will find them coming out in various social media fora and pushing videos and pushing narratives being promoted by La République du Cameroun. Because soon, and very soon, La République du Cameroun will tell you that all the equipment in that hospital establishment, all the workers of that hospital, all of them were ambas. And therefore they were what? Terrorists. That's exactly what they're going to say. I say so because I have a document before me here. I just received it as I was coming to do this broadcast, being the reaction of La République du Cameroun to the most recent report published by Human Rights Watch. Of course, we expected that they were going to come out. Nobody was doubting. But this is what they say, and this is what is interesting. Because for one thing, it hurts them by day and by night that gradually the international community is coming to its senses to recognize that the people of the Southern Cameroons and those of La République du Cameroun are two peoples, two countries, and two separate destinies. No meeting point. Just listen to this last two paragraphs of that rebuttal. It's signed by Atongfak Gemo Cyril Serge, who is the chief manipulator of the Cameroon Ministry of Defense. He says, by putting the state of Cameroon and the separatists on an equal footing of legitimacy on the one hand, and by clearly and clumsily siding with armed groups on the other hand, Human Rights Watch stood true to its astonishing logic. You see what hurts them here is that they are disturbed that the international community more and more is recognizing that we are two entities. And of course, that is who we are. Two peoples, two entities with nothing in common. And that is why we have to go our separate ways. It reads, it is worth mentioning that this organization has, to the detriment of its credibility, never reported objectively on events in the Northwest and Southwest regions, but always opting at the slightest opportunity for a systematic relentlessness and demonization of the Cameroon's defense forces. Notwithstanding these violent attacks, the Cameroon's defense forces continue to carry out their missions in accordance with the rules of engagement and are able to maintain a heavy disciplinary hand over its men when some of them violate such rules. Of course, I know exactly how this script is going to end. And I'm sure all of us know how this script will end. Because before long, this same government will come across and say, oh no, after a lot of work, we finally identified that truly a few of our people were involved, and so they have quickly been rounded up and they're under detention. That will be simply when they are trying to promote them from, the armored cars in which they are moving all over the place to 5-star hotels and claim to that they are in detention. We have seen this over and over. And that is why more and more the people of the Southern Cameroons are asking the international community to do what is right, to simply apply international law. That is exactly what needs to be done. My people, let me say this, and I reiterate it. It hurts me when I notice that despite all these kind of actions that we see, some people still let their minds stroll to be discussing something they call federalism or whatever. Listen, and I'll repeat this here, that any time you settle for less than you deserve, you will end up with far less than you ever settled for. You want evidence? I'll give it to you. Look at this. Some of those who carried themselves to the national dialogue that we rejected and went there and thought that they were going to scoop something. They thought they would come away from there with something to use as a bargaining chip. I'm not surprised they came away with nothing, because they were always going to come away with nothing. And listen, there they bargained, they pleaded and begged for La République du Cameroun to only go back to the name United Republic of Cameroon. For them, they needed even just a symbol, something. Even that was denied them. And then they begged that federalism should even just be discussed, that the form of the state should even just be discussed. But I remember Minister Ngolle Ngwese saying clearly that the mandate he was given was to make sure they discuss decentralization and nothing touching on the form of the state. And after begging and begging and begging to get something to show, they ended up coming out to congratulate themselves for obtaining something whose definition they didn't even know, called special status. To this date, none of them even knows what that special status is all about. Now, how did this come about? My people, in 2017, and on this same platform, I made a recording in which I explained that after his visit to Belgium, to Europe, and Belgium in particular, Mr. Laurent Esso returned to Cameroon and wrote a report to Mr. Paul Biya, whose copy I had and still have until date, in which he pointed out that during his tour, he had observed that there was some kind of thought, the federalist thought, gradually gaining some little traction, but he believed that the government could tap benefit from it. And how? By simply withdrawing the sledgehammer from the heads of those talking federalism and no longer outlaw federalist thoughts. Remember, when the consortium was banned alongside with the SCNC on the 17th of January 2017, they said it was for propagating federalist and secessionist ideas. And so they lifted the ban on federalist ideas. Because of the piece of advice Mr. Esso gave in that letter, in that report, he said, not because we actually want to return to the federal system, but because by letting the federal trend flow freely, it will water down the efforts of all those who want outright independence. And so it will bring division, bring confusion in their midst, and bring cacophony. And for that reason, the government will find it easy to fragment us and then defeat us. And so they have been true to that. That is why they have promoted the federalist trend. But of course, Mr. Biya made it clear in France that the intention of La République du Cameroon from time immemorial, right from 1961, was to assimilate, to swallow, to absorb the southern Cameroons. But they failed. They failed to do it by peaceful means. That's why they are trying now to do it by force. It's not that because they failed, they have given up. No, they haven't. They're trying now to do it by force. So when you see all of these things are happening, you think that you will be spared tomorrow. You continue to talk federalism. I really wonder what place you are coming from. And you know, when they continue perpetrating some of these lies or some of this manipulation, they try to confuse us by saying one thing. They say we are too small as a unit to become a country. They say our population is really nothing, although our population is more than that of Gabon. Population is more than that of Chad. Our population is more than that of Central African Republic. I don't want to mention Sao Tome and Principe, who are just next there because they haven't, you combine all of them to even get the population of the Southern Cameroons. The population is not, the population of Equatorial Guinea is only a fraction, a tiny fraction of our population. Then they will tell you that, no, perhaps we don't have territory enough to become a country. My dear people, I know some of you must have watched this video on social media, but I'd like to share it here on this platform so that as many people as possible have access to it. Look, just watch carefully. It's about 4 minutes. Don't worry. Spend that time. I have some very interesting information coming at the end. So don't just go off. Watch this short video and see other countries far smaller than Southern Cameroon that at least 90% of them are members of the United Nations. Just watch.
10 smallest countries in the world. Number 10, Malta, 316 square kilometers. Malta is a developed country in the European continent. It is the 10th smallest country by area. Its total area is 316 square kilometers and its total population is close to 450,000. Despite being small, the population here is dense. Number 9, Maldives, 300 square kilometers. Maldives is located in the Indian Ocean. Its total area is 300 square kilometers. Maldives is the smallest country in Asia by area and population. Maldives Beach is a favorite place for people from tourism point of view. The total population of Maldives is close to 393,500. Number 8, St. Kitts and Nevis, 261 square kilometers. The Union of St. Kitts and Nevis is a country located on the island of Leeward in the West Indies. Its area is 261 square kilometers. It's the smallest country on the continent of America. Located in the Eastern Caribbean Sea, the main source of income of the people of this country is tourism and farming. The total population of this country is close to 560,017. Number 7, Liechtenstein, 160 square kilometers. This European country is situated between Switzerland and Australia. Its area is 107.4 square kilometers, and the population of this country is about 37,817. In terms of money, this country is no less than anyone. The country ranks number 1 in the world in terms of GDP per capita. Number 6, San Marino, 61 square kilometers. This country is completely surrounded by Italy, spread over 61 square kilometers. San Marino was discovered in AD 301, meaning it is one of the ancient countries of the world. The population of this country is close to 32,576. Number 5, Tuvalu, 26 square kilometers. Tuvalu is an Asian island country located between Australia. Its total area is 26 square kilometers. This country is made up of 3 islands. Spread over 26 square kilometers, Tuvalu gained independence from Britain in 1978. Tuvalu has a population of around 10,837. Number 4. Nauru, 21 square kilometers. Nauru is the world's smallest island country. The area of this country is 21.3 square kilometers. This country has no military of its own. The population of this country is close to 10,084. Number 3. Monaco, 2 square kilometers. These countries lie between France and Italy in the European continent. Due to continuous sea waves for 20 years, now its area has been reduced to only 2.02 square kilometers. This is the best country for tourism. It has more per capita millionaires than any country in the world and is a country with a very high economy. People come here for fun. The city of Monaco has a population of around 37,800. Number 2. Vatican City, 0.44 square kilometers. It is the smallest country in the world. The area is 0.44 square kilometers. The population here is about 1,000. Its entire range is less than 2 kilometers. You can roam the whole country on foot. Here is the largest church, Peter Basilica, in the world. There are also many magnificent buildings that attract the attention of the people. Number 1. Sealand, 0.025 square kilometer. The country is located near England and is named Sealand. On 9th October 2012, a man named Roy Bates declared himself Prince of Sealand. It has been ruled by his son Michael since the death of Roy Bates. Sealand has an area of 0.25 square kilometers. This small country has not received international recognition, but Sealand has its own passport, currency, and stamps. So obviously, Sealand is the smallest country in the world. Only 30 people live in the army of Sealand and have a helicopter. This
So, you have been able to see for yourself that Southern Cameroons is definitely not going to be the smallest country in the world and the least populated. Just so you know, because you have listened you have listened to and watched those images and you have those statistics. If you like, go to Wikipedia now or just type on Google surface area of Southern Cameroons and you get the information I'm about to give you. Says capital, this is on Wikipedia. Says capital, Boya. Area, this was in 1987. 42,710 square kilometers. Listen well. 42,710 square kilometers. In miles, this is 16,490 square miles. And the population in 1987 for the Southern Cameroons was 2,100,000 people. That's in 1987. My dear people, I bring this out because I know that those who like to manipulate our minds and our everything, tell us we don't have what it takes to become a country. I'm sure from watching this, you now know that we have not just what it takes to become a country, we have so much more than what it takes to become a country. And we are a country and will be a country. My people, listen, it only takes hard work, it takes resilience, and it takes sacrifice to get what you so desire. And fight for it, we must continue to. Like I say, from the civil society, we believe that our peaceful resistance is paying off by day and by night. And we shall continue by all peaceful means to resist and resist and resist until we get back our country, the Southern Cameroons. We shall resist and resist and resist. Anytime you want to go weak, come back, watch this video, watch those countries. Of course, you need to know how a good lot of them too fought to find their way, their ways where they are. That is exactly what we have to do. My people, just so you know exactly again what we are running away from. Listen, because some people get confused. They say, oh, things can change that person. No, Even some of ours who are still there have been reduced now to worse than court jesters just to earn a living. The last time on this platform, we were watching Ashunyenti. I can even pardon Ashunyenti that I've never seen him peddling the Bible all over the place. But there is one here whom I sat in church and watched him preach that he was preparing to become a pastor. They call him Buma Benen Ghana. And I saw him preach the word of God. But today, Buma Benen Ghana, for a piece, for a loaf of bread and a piece of fish, is comparing Mr. Paul Biya to Jesus Christ. If you have not listened to it, just take a listen and have some fun though.
That will be used for the African Nations Cup. So when he says we should take good care of it, it is now our responsibility. It is now the responsibility of football administrators in the country to be able to take great care of this. It is at this level that I seem to agree with Boniface Fontaine Kobena and many others who have associated President Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. In his book, Sacerdotal Politics and System Sustainability, the Paul Biya Paradigm, he compares Paul Biya's political ideology to that of Jesus Christ. Jesus will heal somebody and say, go and sin no more, as in take care of your miracle. And now he builds the infrastructure and say, take care of it because Africa is watching. That will be used.
I'm dying of laughter. I can never stop thanking God for giving me the spirit and the strength to understand that it makes sense to die fighting for the people than to live comparing him, our Lord, with objects. I can never stop thanking him. I could see the bewilderment on the face of Gladys Tata. I could see it. Oh my goodness. With a straight face, Benen Buma Ghana, these are my colleagues of yesterday, says Paul Biya is now comparable only to Jesus Christ. Of course, these are stages that they all go through until they get to maturity. We all remember Mobutu Sese Seko. These are stages they all go through until they get to the summum where they come down like Humpty Dumpty. Who has forgotten Mobutu Sese Seko? That before they presented news on Congolese TV, that's the Democratic Republic of Congo, at the time it was Zaire. On the Zaire, or it was Zaire, on the Zaire TV. They first of all have to show Mobutu coming down, from the clouds like a god, descending from the clouds and all whatnot, all this in deification. But can someone remember the fate of Mobutu, how it ended? My people of the Southern Cameroons. All what we need is resilience. All what we need is the strength to continue to stand up for what we believe in. Don't allow yourself to be used by La République du Cameroun to sow division and confusion in this movement. Victory is our portion. And victory we will get, whether they like it or not. The scales are increasingly falling from the eyes of some people, both back home and in the international community, who initially thought this was something else. No, they are coming to that stark realization of what we have always spoken about. My people, yes, we will make it, whether they like it or not. My people, victory is our portion. To God and to God alone be all the glory.